and most tasty dishes during Lent, we are indebted to the famous art of our chefs and cooks. On the day, peculiarly blessed for those near to me, when I became worthy to understand this truth, that is to say, when our incomparable Dunyasha finally succeeded in placing within the layers of the pie for the Cromwell fish soup with turbot livers a series of secondary layers, I understood with all my being that this had been a great mistake on our part. First, I understood this myself, and afterwards I proved it to the whole of my household, that if we have so many varied and most tasty dishes during Lent, we are indebted only to our blessed and glorious fishes alone. During fasts, and especially during Lent, our homes are made happy by the frequent visits of the most honorable sturgeon, and the estimable sterlet, and the respected dried sturgeon, and the ever-memorable turbot, and Her Illustrious Highness the salmon, and the musical white sturgeon, and the serenely plastic mackerel, and the eternally angry pike, and the ever-demure guinead, and the leaping alive trout, and the beauty trioshka, and the proud shamai, and the worthy personality bream, and all other like benefactors and protectors. Merely the names alone of these, our givers of good and felicity, are already for us the greatest gift of God. When we hear their names, our hearts almost leap within us. These names of theirs are not just names, but real music. Can one really compare the sounds of the music invented there by various Beethovenings and Chopinings and other fashionable triflers with the sounds of the names of these blessed fishes? Every time we hear the names of these glorious creations, a state of bliss flows within us and courses through our veins and nerves. Blessed fishes, first created by our Creator, have mercy on us and sustain us also in these meat days. Amen. After this prayer, this worthy Orthodox Russian Christian drained a monster glass of genuine refined Russian vodka and stared fondly at a little statue of Venus and Psyche which stood nearby. And indeed, my friend, almost every Russian Orthodox Christian has a similar idea of fasting and a similar attitude towards it. During these Christian fasts, which passed to them from the Orthodox Greeks, they all eat the flesh of fish. It is not considered a sin among them to eat the flesh of fish, and they eat it heartily as a fast dish. I personally find only one thing incomprehensible. From where did these Russian sorry Orthodox get the idea that during the Christian fasts, especially during Lent, the flesh of fish may be eaten? I find it incomprehensible because the Orthodox Christians from whom they took this religion, namely the Greeks, neither in the past nor in the present have ever eaten or do eat the flesh of fish during fasts. Even the Greeks of today eat fish during Lent only on one day, and even then in accordance with the code of the Orthodox Church in memory of a day associated with the divine Jesus Christ. The result of a fast permitting the consumption of the flesh of fish not only gives no shock at all to the fasters, but is even directly contrary to what the divine Jesus Christ himself intended and taught, and for which this custom was established by the great creators of this Christian religion. In confirmation of what I've just told you, you might as well, my young friend, listen to what I once chanced to read about Christian fasting in an ancient Judaic Essenian manuscript. In this ancient Judaic Essenian manuscript, it was stated that the custom established for the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ of fasting at certain times of the year was instituted long after his death, namely in the 214th year after his birth. The custom of fasting was instituted and introduced into the Christian religion by the great secret Kelnawanian Council. This secret Kelnawanian Council was convened by all the followers of the then still new teaching of Jesus Christ in the locality of Kelnuk, lying on the shores of the Dead Sea. Hence it is known in the history of the Christian religion as the Kelnawanian Council. And it was held in secret because the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ were then everywhere rigorously persecuted by the power-possessing people. The power-possessing people persecuted them because they greatly feared that if people lived according to this teaching, then although they themselves, namely the power-possessing people, could also live very well, yet all the motives for displaying their power would disappear, and thereby those shocks would cease, the satisfaction of which evoked the tickling of their inner god named self-love. It was just during the Kelnawanian Council that its members first laid down the rule that the followers of the teaching of Jesus Christ should on certain days abstain from consuming certain edible products for food. And the initial cause of the institution of this fast was the dispute at this Kelnawanian Council between two then famous learned men, namely the great Hertunano and the great Greek philosopher Vegandiadi. The great Hertunano was the representative of all the followers of the teachings of Jesus Christ, settled on the shores of the Red Sea, while the philosopher Vegandiadi was the representative of all the then followers of that teaching in Greece. The philosopher Vegandiadi was famous for his learning only in his own country, but Hertunano was famous all over the earth. He was considered the greatest authority on the laws of the inner organization of man, and also an authority on the science then called alchemy. Not, of course, the alchemic science of which contemporary people have a notion and which they express by the same word. The famous dispute between the great Hertunano and Vegandiadi arose on the following occasion. The philosopher Vegandiadi, it seems, occupied 2 days in affirming and proving that it was absolutely necessary to spread among all the followers of the teachings of Jesus the notion that to kill animals for the purpose of consuming their flesh for food was the greatest sin, and moreover that such flesh was very harmful to the health, and so on. After the philosopher Vegandiadi, several other representatives ascended the rostrum and spoke for or against his case. Finally, as this manuscript stated, the great Hertunano, with measured dignity, slowly mounted the rostrum and spoke in the manner proper to him, clearly and calmly,